All right, hi guys. This is what your lesson is today. We're going to read through this text and we're going to follow the directions to underline the quotes, the story that tells you about the character traits of the fox and the sled driver. Then you're going to complete the activity on page 3. All right, I will post this in Schoology so that you can complete it on Kami. Now, the story that we're going to read is called The Fox Goes Fishing. And the purpose of this is we are going to cite evidence, make inferences, and understand the impact that the setting has on the character. So say, for instance, the fox. Okay, so I want you to think about that as we read. So I'm going to start reading. Early one morning, a bright-eyed red fox lay peeping out of his hole, watching the road that ran by a little distance. For 2 hours he watched in vain. Then he heard the sound of hooves coming over the snow. He crouched eagerly down at the edge of the road and said to himself, "What a cold, hard winter we've had." I'm going to underline that part because I think that might be important. So we're going to underline, or I'm going to circle it. You can use different colored pens or pencils or whatever if that helps, okay? We are starving. Coming along is a man driving a reindeer, which is pulling many sleds filled with food to sell in town. I know well the tinkling of the reindeer harness. This is my chance. Seconds later, the fox stretched himself out by the side of the road, choosing a spot where the driver could not help seeing him, yet where the reindeer would not step on him. He closed his eyes and whimpered. I am going to probably underline this or highlight this. This might be a little important as well. All right, the fox stretched himself out by the road, choosing a spot where the driver could not help but see him, yet where the reindeer would not step on him. Okay. Continue reading. The sled driver yanked on the reins and stopped abruptly when he saw the beautiful animal lying stiffly beside the road. Jumping out, he gently lifted the fox and placed it carefully into the last sled, which happened to hold a pile of fish. This tells me something about the driver. Stopped abruptly, and when he saw the beautiful animal laying stiffly beside the road, all right, jumping out, he gently lifted the fox and placed it carefully in the last sled. Okay, so that tells me something maybe about the driver. This was exactly what the cunning fox wanted. There's a word that we might want to look up if we don't know what that means. Cunning fox wanted. As the sled driver took off, the fox wiggled to the front of the sled. Here he chewed through the rope and that tied the sled to the one in front of it. The fox's sled stopped in the middle of the road while the man and the reindeer continued on, unaware that they had lost their last sled in their mountain of fish. Okay, so as the sled driver took off, the fox wiggled to the front of the sled. He chewed through the rope that tied the sled to the one in front of it. That might be something we want to remember. The man rushed his reindeer into town, eager to find someone to help him nurse the poor fox back to health. He jumped out of the first sled and ran to the end of the row of sled. Imagine his shock when he discovered that the sled containing the fish and the fox were missing. "Oh no," he exclaimed. "That little fox will never survive injured in the woods." He unstrapped all the sleds from the one in front and jumped back into the driver's seat. The man yelled for the reindeer to go faster as they sped back down the road into the woods. At last, he found the sled standing in the middle of the road. He leaped out, raced over to it. "I've got to come back for you, little fox. Help is coming." His words stopped as he peered into the empty sled. All right. Now, meanwhile, the fox was enjoying himself mightily. After he separated the sled from the others, he barked shrilly to call his fox friends. Together, they hauled away the fish to their hidden den. That night, they had a mighty feast, and they devoured almost all the fish. They barked and laughed with full bellies as they celebrated the fox's smashing success. All right, so now you see that there are words over here that are highlighted and they are defined for you. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to support your inferences, all right? So you are going to reflect on the text evidence you found to help you understand the character traits of the fox and the sled driver. Write what you can infer, which means what? What you can determine about each character. Then paraphrase or summarize the story or use direct quotes. I would rather use direct quotes that support your inferences, okay? So I'd rather use direct quotes from the text that support your thoughts about the fox and about the sled driver. And then I want you to go and I want you to find the exact words from the story that make your thinking correct. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to think about how the setting impacted or affected the actions of the fox. Think about where the setting is and what the fox did, and how did that have an impact or an effect on him, on his actions. All right, so that's what you're supposed to do for your workshop. If you have any questions, please email me. Y'all have a good day.